graduate with no debt. Because they want their doctor thinking about healing and not ever having a moment of stress, worrying about how they're going to pay the mortgage. Who are we? We hear this word for the last 20 years, terrorism. And I've really started to think and wanting to ask this question. What is terrorism? I mean, we know what it's traditionally defined as. We were attacked on 9/11. People are attacked and killed in other countries. We know what that kind of terrorism is. But what do you call it in a town, say, like Flint, Michigan? The town that was the birthplace of the middle class, because it was the first place that a union got a contract with an industrial corporation, the UAW. It was their first big contract back in the 30s. My uncle was in that sit-down strike. They took over the factories for 44 days. They would not leave. General Motors turned off the heat. This went from New Year's Eve to February 11th. They turned off the heat. They turned off the water. They wouldn't let any food be brought in until the women
It's a crime against humanity.
Decided to arm themselves with baseball bats and went down to the factories and broke all the windows just so they could throw food in to their husbands and their sons and their brothers.
Criminal neglect.
It was the women who helped win that, and it was Franklin Delano Roosevelt who finally called up the governor of Michigan and said, you are to tell the National Guard to take their guns that are pointed at the workers and their families, turn the guns away from them, and point them to the Pinkerton agents and to the police who are beating these women who are trying to bring food
criminal abuse
to the factory workers.
By our elected
and once Roosevelt got in,
and law enforcement
our first
officials.
Democratic Socialist president, because all those words mean, as we know, democratic means democracy. We believe in democracy, and we, Bernie, myself, you, believe it's not a true democracy if it's just about us getting to vote at election time.
Breach of social contract.
The economy also has to be democratic. We have to have a say in our own economy. And the pie has to be split fairly so that everybody gets a slice.
Abuse of public trust.
Everybody has a seat at the table. That's what that is.
Criminal misconduct.
People say, well, I don't understand. What's this democratic social? I'll tell you what it is. It's the rich man will have a harder time getting into heaven than a camel will have trying to pass through the eye of the needle.
We got to lock up all the criminals.
It's the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. It's if we only have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, how are we going to feed the 5,000 people here for the sermon? And he just says, well, just start doing it and there'll be enough, but make sure everybody gets something. Make sure everybody gets something, not just the people who own the fish or the loaves of bread, but everybody gets a piece of the food, and everybody was fed.
Socialism in action.
It really is just the tradition of the way I was raised, the way you were raised, to do unto others as you would hope they would do unto you.
Yeah, decency. It's called decency.
And we now live in such a dark and dangerous time. We have a president who's so...
a criminal president.
So appalling.
And horrific. And a Nazi.
In his treatment of other people.
It's crime
and even
against
his own
humanity.
people. And today watching...
should be in jail right now.
trial in the Senate. And the Republicans, my grandfather was the leader of the Republican Party in the town that I grew up in.
My grandparents were leaders too.
I remember him explaining that the idea of being a conservative, to conserve, meant conserve your money. Don't spend money you don't have.
Yeah, don't be wasteful.
Conserve the earth that God gave us, these natural resources. Conservation. That's what conservative meant.
Resourceful. They had the
Be good to
post-World
each
War
other. Be
II
kind. Oh, if he were alive today. The fact that not only that the Republican senators still enable this person who thought about himself before his country.
Traitor.
That they
Lock him up.
There are people,
All of
there are
them.
Republican senators in there today whom he called losers when they ran against him. Loser,
Bullying.
you're slow.
Conduct unbecoming.
One of them, who's voting to enable him today, Trump accused his father of having something to do with the Kennedy assassination. And yet there he is, right up there. But that's the way it's been
Corruption.
since we were all in
It's a
middle
GOP
school.
party
The bully,
going
the
down.
way the bully operates
The
is to
bully
make everyone
pulpit.
else afraid,
Bully politics.
to get people to come to large rallies and to stoke their fear of the other.
Racism.
This is our real challenge
Bigotry.
in November, to show who we are as a
Yeah,
people.
shut down Fox
Who
News.
are we? And to stop these forms of economic terrorism that destroy rural Iowa, that destroy Flint, Michigan, it's a nonstop. The majority of Americans now, did you read this story this past year? Do not have enough money available to them, do not have enough cash on hand, that if a loved one tonight across the country passed away, they don't have the money to fly and go to the funeral. $500. Majority of Americans don't have $500 to their name.
Yep.
And none of that has changed under Trump.
It's gotten
Because he
worse.
has only one belief. And that belief is not in the Republican Party, not in the United States of America. His belief is in Donald J. Trump. What's good for Trump? But I want to tell you why I'm here for Bernie.
It's gonna be
We have such a
save the day.
unique opportunity here to elect someone who's not part of that system.
It's a Kennedy of our time.
Not the same old, same old. Not the candidate who's safe. That commercial that we're seeing this weekend here in Iowa, vote for me, I'm the safe candidate. Wow. That's how low the bar is now?
Safe if you're a
So,
junkie
you
on
gotta
the
be
streets.
safe. I can't imagine, if you go on, like, if you're single and you go on Match.com and you were reading the profile and the guy said, go out with me, I'm safe. You'd be like, wow,
But still corrupt.
I don't think so. I'm safe.
Safer without him.
We were told to vote safe in 1984 and we lost. We were told to vote for the safe, bland candidate in 1988 and we lost. We were told to play it safe in 2000. We won, but we lost. That's what we're great at too, our side. We win the election and we aren't not given the keys to the White House.
Well, that was electoral college.
We have more people
Abolish
wanting
that.
us than the other side, and yet we don't get to enter the Oval Office. And now,
System's
today,
rigged.
I don't know if you've seen the news today. I'm so upset in the car driving here to Creston today. And by the way, thank you for having us. Thank you to Southwestern Community College for having us here. So a beautiful campus and school here. We're happy to be here. We always look up on Wikipedia the town we're going to see, what they're famous for. You've got it out there right on the sign coming into town. The Pee Wee League Championship from 1967. I just want to ask what's happened since 1967. May I suggest maybe letting the girls play? Might. No, but this is also the hometown of Walter Cunningham, the astronaut on Apollo 7. Just before, as we were on our way to going to the moon. He was from here. That's pretty cool. You also have the largest True Value hardware store I've seen anywhere in Iowa. I don't know why that is, but no, we thank you for having us here. But on the way here, the story came on radio that the Democratic National Party has decided to suspend their rules on you have to have so many donors to show you have wide support. Bernie has more donors than any candidate running this year. More donors, donating more money, and yet donating the smallest amount of money, $18 a donor.
Everybody
But they
donate
have that
$1
rule there
minimum.
because if you didn't like 27 people on the stage, there'd be 327 on the stage. So they have to have some rules. So one of the rules they set up was to make sure that let's make sure that there's enough people that support this individual. And one way to do that is if they're willing to give $5 or $10, well, if there's enough of them, they removed that rule today so that they could allow Michael Bloomberg to be on the stage, to allow a billionaire who was elected the Republican mayor of New York City in 2001. They did this just for him. He doesn't have to prove that he has any support amongst people who would be willing to give him money, because of course he's just using his own money. That he could actually buy his way onto the stage. I'd like to hear full transparency from the DNC and tell us how much he has offered to give in the November election if they let him on the stage. And I'm not going to dwell on this, but I just think this is what
Corruption.
we're so used to on our
DNC
side.
corruption.
Where people that are supposed to be on our side end up being for the people with the money.
The billionaire class.
How many times have we seen when our candidate, the Democratic candidate, the #1 contributor was Goldman Sachs?
Wall
Enough
Street,
of this,
basically.
folks. This is why we lose. Even when we win, we lose.
Banksters.
It doesn't work this way.
Get our money back
And
from
we
the
have
bank
to
bailouts.
say that this is wrong.
Take back the CEO bonuses
We
after the
have no
bank
people of color left on the
bailouts.
debate stage. They didn't change the rules so that Cory Booker could stay on the stage or Julian Castro could stay on the stage. They made no provisions for that. But for the white billionaire, we can just dispense with the rules.
Order Trump to
And this
pay
is what all of
back
us have had to
back
deal with our
taxes.
whole lives. There's one set of rules for us, and there's one set of rules for the rich.
Yeah, pass the 24th
We
Amendment.
have one candidate who will not tolerate this, who will not put up with this, who will speak out against it, and he will fight for us, all of us. It boggles the mind. But I want to focus on, we're in the final days here in Iowa, and we have somebody. Oh, this is one of the reasons they changed the rules. You know why they changed it. Bernie is ahead in all the polls now. He's ahead. He's ahead in Iowa. He's ahead in New Hampshire. He's #1 in the poll today from California. In the poll from Texas yesterday, of all the Democrats running, the one that does the best against Trump in Texas is Bernie Sanders. Or the story that came out this morning that the candidate who has received the most donations from members who are active duty military, our sailors and soldiers and airmen and women, the #1 candidate with the most number of donations from
Bernie
our
Sanders.
military soldiers is Bernie Sanders. I read that and I went,
DNC is
I'm like,
corrupt.
wow. Why isn't this reported? Why don't we know this? Why isn't that I see now what has to happen? And was it six minutes? Did you say?
Demand the DNC
Oh, we're done. Okay.
executive
26 minutes.
resign
I
en
know. No,
masse.
Jane Sanders is here, so we want to bring her on. But I just want to tell you that Bernie has the highest approval rating
Hang in
of
there.
anybody running for office. He's the most beloved senator. They did a poll in all 50 states for all 100 senators of who is the most popular amongst their constituents, and #1 was Bernie Sanders. We will win with Bernie. Bernie will beat Trump. Trump cannot beat Bernie. Trump can win in 16 because when you're running against things that aren't real, when you're running, he can stand
against
up
another
and
weak candidate
say
like Hillary.
that
Corrupt candidate.
no, it's okay. It's okay. Your child is on nationwide TV here on C-SPAN. This is like so cool. You'll be able to play this tape at his 16th birthday, 25th birthday. He's gonna go, oh, geez, Mom, why didn't you? Bernie is beloved, and I've seen it here in Iowa. And it's important that everybody get out and caucus this week on Monday.
Everybody call
Bring
your
10 people with you.
senators.
Bring 20 people with
Call
you.
the GOP corrupt senators.
Don't listen to any of the other stuff.
Threaten them
Bernie
with recall
was against the war.
petitions.
When we've run candidates that were in favor of the Iraq War, we've lost. Bernie was right. They were wrong. We need to put people in office that can win. And Bernie can win. Bernie can win this election. I believe it in my heart.
And
I've seen it
right
across
thing.
the country.
The
You
others
see it
won't,
in all the
except for
polls.
Elizabeth.
And I think especially with young people, depending on the poll, 52% of 18 to 35-year-olds, 56% of 18 to 35-year-olds. In Texas, 18 to 29-year-olds, 70% for Bernie.
Huh.
70%. This is what's really going on. Whether it's reported or not, it doesn't matter. The truth is the truth, and the truth will come out during the primaries and caucuses. And they're for him because he is all about their future. Bernie is fighting the climate emergency that we're in. Bernie is fighting so that women are paid the same as men. Bernie is fighting so that the government keeps their hands off women's reproductive systems. Bernie is fighting because he knows you can't live on $7.25 an hour. You can't live on $10 or $12 an hour. You could barely make it on 15. That's the minimum it should be.
Yeah.
He's fighting for all those things, and everybody in here, and especially the young people across Iowa, they know. They know, because he's not fighting for his future. Bernie is in his future. He's already there. But he knows what they're going to have to live through in 10, 20, 30 years. Or just even right now, as he told you the story of the flood here in Iowa.
It's our greatest hope.
Don't you want to live in a country where you never have to listen to a story like that again that we just heard? Where his dying wife is taking care of him in the hospital, and the co-pays and the deductibles are so insane.
It's killing them faster.
When people say Bernie can't win, what they're really saying is, we don't want Bernie to win. Because we don't want to make sure that everybody can see a doctor and not go broke.
They want us to die.
We want to make sure that women are treated the same as men.
You want to kill
We
off
want to make sure that if
90%
you
of
want
us.
to go to college, you're not in a debtor's prison at the age 22 for the next 20 or 30 years.
Yeah, fuck that.
All
Student
of that.
amnesty.
That's what they know Bernie is going to fight for. They know also we're
Free
going to have a
tuition.
Democratic Senate. We will have a Democratic Senate, and we will have a Democratic House, and we will have Bernie Sanders in the Oval Office.
Yeah.
And that means we will all be in the Oval Office with him.
It'd be
So I
great.
want to bring
Can't
out now
wait.
The star of today's show here in Creston, Iowa. I had some time to, I did a little podcast with her earlier today, and she's an incredible woman. She's a fighter in her own right for progressive causes for decades, and she stands with Bernie in this incredibly wonderful, beautiful fight to make this a better place for all of us. Please welcome to Creston, Iowa, Dr. Jane Sanders.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much.